Chapter 28, Pat discharged. I can't tell you what that did. Throughout the fall, I was in total reclusion. When I wasn't painting, I was working on this book. I refused social contact totally. I couldn't eat. I quit my downtown law practice. I moved home to save money, which was getting very tight. I told Kay, I can't practice law anymore. I can't lie anymore to anyone. It's just too much bullshit. I can't stand to listen to one more people giving me money to listen to their bullshit. Everyone thinks they're 100% innocent of all the problems in this world. I considered going to a shrink at Kay's insistence. I did. He said the same thing. He said, Tommy, what are you doing here? I said, my wife thinks I'm nuts. He said, do you think you're nuts? I said, no, she's the one that's nuts. That's why I'm here and she isn't. And then he added, Tommy, just because you think you see things or feel things that can't be proved does not mean you're nuts. And that was that. At last, Pat came home. No question about it, he was a lean, mean former Marine. He was the cutting edge from Beirut, telling war stories about Hootersville, talking about his buddies, but there was a serious side of depression in him, and no one would acknowledge it except me. I insisted that he have a jacket made with Beirut, Lebanon, October 23rd, 1983, on the back. I got criticized for everybody for doing that, but I insisted on making it. Now, years later, it's the thing he likes the most. This time, he was no young kid. He was a salty, aggressive, non-passive, like when he first came home on leave after the bombing. I was scared to death that he would have post-traumatic experiences, and I was determined to be there if he did and help bring him out of it. I never admitted this to anyone until I typed these words. It surprises me. Then again, who knows? Anyway, after mucho pestering and prodding, Pat joined the Walters Judo Club. We rode down together 3 nights a week. I tried to get him to open up. He just did not want to talk of the details about Beirut during the rides each week with pop psychology at the wheel. After many weeks of prodding, this is what he remembered. Dad, I wear this tattoo on my arm. Beirut, October 1983, USMC. I'm not sure why. If it wasn't there, I think I'd forget about it. Yes, I remember the explosion and pandemonium inside our bunker. I thought we'd had it with a direct hit, a mortar I suspected. I expected to see bodies when I opened my eyes. The other guys were looking at me exactly the same way, all of us wide-eyed. We screamed and ran upstairs to the roof of our bunker where we pulled guard. They told us there was a big explosion over at the BLT headquarters. We ran out, and all we could see was a mushroom cloud. We waited for instructions from officers. Grunts never leave their post, especially under attack. The scoop came down. It was the BLT. The body count kept climbing. 26, 51, 150, 200. How did I feel? We're Marines. We stayed in our positions and waited for the word. I remember thinking, I'm a 21-year-old kid. I'll never die. We're Marines. We know the risk. Dad, I also wear this olive green battle jacket with Scarlet Beirut Airport, October 23rd, 1983 on my back. The one you got me for Christmas. I wonder why I wrap myself in this memory every day. I winked at him, reached over. We squeezed each other's hands and smiled. Joey loved to put the little and the big little together during training partners for mat work. It was always a fight to the death. We had to be pulled apart every time we fought, physically separated. Neither of us would quit. Pat was getting very good. Dickie was impressed and said Pat should pursue it. He's going to be good someday. Everyone watched me fanatically train harder and harder. Pat was very concerned. Dickie was concerned. Joey seemed to know what was happening inside both the littles, especially me. Tom Gross, also on the comeback trail, was younger but much bigger than Dickie, an experienced warrior. He also trained with Ishikawa and was also trained by his bigger older brother. His brother Jimmy, which is the same as mine was also an ex-Marine and currently getting the Nepal judo team ready for the 1988 Olympics. I called Little Gross King Kong. King Kong was also a plumber, throwing 300-pound pipes around all day with Dickie. 6'4", 270 pounds. He was exactly what I was looking for in a training partner. Somebody my own size to work out with. I was 5'11", 155 pounds. Somebody to unleash my adrenal drums. Somebody to challenge my meditative petitioning process to regain good judo skills again. King Khan called me killer. Both of us agreed to work out an hour early under Dickie's supervision and personal instruction. Both of us were getting ready for this coming national championships. We were throwing each other harder, and then harder, and then harder, and then even harder again, and then even harder. We were getting good, fighting each other with a wink, throwing each other at will, tricking each other constantly, laughing like hell. Both getting good at sacrifice techniques, mostly because they suited Killer's ancient bones, that would be me, and King Kong's super size. Sacrifice techniques are falling down throws used mostly for counter moves, taught expertly by Joey. The heat was on. Joey was also getting ready for another National Senior Masters tournament. He wants to go for the gold. Everyone was psyched. You think I can go? I solicited privately. Sure, you'll be in shape by then. What the hell? It'll be good for exercise. And besides, I'll guarantee you won't be the oldest guy there. I felt great. I was ecstatic. I trained harder than I ever trained before. I showed up in court during weekdays with bruises all over my face. I looked like I was in a fight with an ugly stick and lost. Entries were sent. Airlines reserved. Hotel picked. And now we really poured it on. Even young Jimmy the Lion got motivated for the trip. 3 nights a week of rigorous physical activity kept me calm and sane during the fall and the winter, along with the long, dark, easy rides with Pat. We had the pleasure of long, easy conversations about life in general before and after the workouts. Pat was extremely patient, letting me talk it all out. Years later, as I write this memory, I realized he was the therapist, not me. The old sense of foreboding and fear came back, like when Pat first joined up. Only this time, I couldn't shake it. I couldn't figure out why the hell I still feel like I'm on duty. My kid is home. Nicaragua is somebody else's problem. My kid is home safe and sound. My kids were grown men and women, yet they were still coming and going in our house. And finally I exploded. Kay, if you don't get those fucking kids out of the house, I'm leaving. That did it. The announcement of threat of a final separation. I wanted release from family orthodoxy, religious orthodoxy, economic orthodoxy, and all other types of orthodoxy. I refused to participate or submit to any authority. All of it was just bullshit. Group hypnosis in action. At the restaurant in Ocean City after workouts, Dickie told about his judo secrets. I pestered. Write a judo book, Dickie. Dickie said, I'd rather do a judo video. Whoa, wait a minute, that's terrific. Can I be your uke? That's the guy who gets thrown. Excitedly, we both laid out a plan on napkins. How to make a video outline. The outline became an explanation of how to write a book. The book became a video. Dickie worked like a fanatic. He went at it the same way he trained in judo. First, he organized everything. He got a set routine. We practiced the throws and counter throws every night that would be shown on camera. He instilled discipline. He made the critical decisions what to show to the public. This was the first big-time decision for Dickie, showing his fighting skills to the public. Dickie's secrets were as private as my visions. They were personal, not to be shared unless a request was made and a good reason given. The Ocean City Warriors adopted Pat. He looked up to all of them. He was a grunt for 3 years, traveled twice to the Mideast. He was now a big-time hoorah ex-Marine, back in civilian life, trying to be macho now, hearing some strange words in Ocean City, like, real warriors don't fight wars, real warriors fight for peace. This talk was confusing to him. He anticipated this change in consciousness in his dad after listening for months during the rides, but seeing the same attitude in the other warriors, especially Joey, another Marine, even more confusing, to say the least. I refused to cut down the annual Christmas tree upstate in Deer Lake. This was another piece of orthodoxy, a habit to be purged. The entire family was pissed off at me. We hadn't missed going upstate to cut a tree in years. We always went to the Riley's farm. Riley's are my favorites in the whole clan. They always let me cut a tree I want. Uncle Ed sold trees to the public and scrupulously watched over everyone while cutting their own trees, but always turned his back so I could cut the one I liked. Uncle Ed loved to prune scroungy trees whenever he could as we walked along his property, like any practical farmer, getting rid of the useless ones first, like I was doing with all my old habits. Finally, the half-century mark, my 50th birthday, January 23rd. Okay? I refuse to acknowledge it. Aquarians are all 50 years ahead of their time. This is the beginning for me. Anyway, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to die soon, or maybe I'll be just assumed if I'm lucky. I had enough of this middle-class bullshit. This world sucks. It is really getting to me. A bore. And now I'd like to read chapter 29.